Opening Storm Watch, the film begins with a satellite view of the Atlantic Ocean, where a massive storm system is forming. Meteorologists at the National Weather Service notice unusual patterns. The storm grows rapidly overnight. Local news anchors give casual warnings, unaware of the devastation that's brewing. The storm is named Hurricane Gordy, and early forecasts expect it to be a Category 2. Families in Florida listen, but many brush off the warnings, assuming it will veer off. The main family introduced, we meet the Morales family in Miami. Daniel, a firefighter, his wife Elena, a nurse, and their teenage daughter Sophia, who dreams of studying meteorology. They argue lightly about preparing supplies. Elena insists, while Daniel says they've weathered worse storms. Sophia eagerly tracks the storm on her laptop, fascinated but concerned. Their elderly neighbor, Mr. Harlan, refuses to evacuate despite warnings. A sudden upgrade within 24 hours, Hurricane Gordy jumps to Category 4, an extremely rare development. News stations shift from mild warnings to urgent evacuation orders. Sophia warns her father that this storm is different. The pressure drop indicates something historic. Panic begins in grocery stores as people fight for bottled water, batteries, and gas. Daniel realizes too late that Elena was right. They are underprepared. Evacuation chaos, the Morales family decides to evacuate inland, but traffic is gridlocked. Highways become parking lots as desperate families try to flee. Tension mounts as gas stations run dry, leaving many stranded. Looting breaks out in some areas and the National Guard begins deploying. When their car overheats, the Morales family is forced to turn back toward their home. Neighbors unite back in the neighborhood. Elena convinces Daniel to help others prepare. Together, they board up windows and share food with neighbors, including stubborn Mr. Harlan. Sophia sets up her laptop and emergency radio to monitor the storm's track. Despite their efforts, the neighborhood feels like a trap, sitting directly in Gordy's projected path. The wind picks up, the sky turning an eerie gray-green. The first assault as Hurricane Gordy makes landfall. Its sheer size is staggering. Torrential rain slams against the windows and trees bend violently under the gusts. Power goes out across the city within minutes. The Morales family huddles in their living room, listening to the roof creak. Outside, car alarms blare and debris flies like missiles. A massive palm tree crashes through a neighbor's roof. Rising floodwaters, the real terror begins as floodwaters surge through the streets, cutting off escape routes. Daniel wades outside to check on Mr. Harlan and nearly gets swept away. Sophia films the flooding with her phone, capturing the destruction for future meteorology studies. Elena tends to a wounded neighbor, improvising medical care with limited supplies. The family moves upstairs as water fills the ground floor. Tornadoes within the storm reports come over the radio. Gordy is spawning tornadoes inside the hurricane. The sound of a freight train roars as one tears through a nearby block, leveling homes. Sophia screams as she sees rooftops ripped clean off. Daniel ties furniture together to create barricades against flying debris. The family clings to each other as their house shakes violently, barely holding together. Separation and panic during the chaos. Part of the Morales roof collapses. In the scramble, Sophia becomes separated, swept out into the rushing floodwater. Daniel dives in after her, but the current pulls them apart. Elena is left screaming in despair as she clutches debris for safety. The storm's noise drowns out all hope, and survival becomes an hour-by-hour battle. Sophia's struggle. Sophia manages to cling onto a floating refrigerator, carried through the flooded streets. She sees devastation everywhere, cars underwater, entire houses gone. Using her phone's flashlight, she records messages to her parents in case she doesn't survive. Exhausted and cold, she prays for rescue. In the distance, she spots faint lights from a rescue boat, but the current pushes her further away. 11. Daniel's desperation. Daniel, battered and bleeding, claws his way into a collapsed gas station for shelter. He finds other survivors trapped inside, including a mother with a baby. Despite his exhaustion, he takes charge, using his firefighter training to calm them. They hear explosions outside as gas lines rupture. Daniel refuses to rest until he can find Sophia again. Elena's courage back in their partially collapsed house, Elena leads neighbors into the attic to escape the flood. She improvises medical treatment for an injured boy using only household items. Her strength inspires others, and she becomes the anchor holding the group together. Yet deep down, she fears her family has been lost to the storm. The eye of the storm suddenly, silence falls. The hurricane's eye passes overhead. A surreal calm settles over the ruins, the sun briefly visible through swirling clouds. Survivors emerge, stunned by the destruction surrounding them. Daniel pushes forward through wreckage, hoping to use the calm window to find Sophia, but they all know the second half of the storm is yet to come. The storm's return, the eye wall slams back with renewed fury, worse than before. Winds howl at over 170 mph and entire buildings crumble. Helicopters are grounded and rescue crews are overwhelmed. Sophia's refrigerator raft finally smashes into an apartment complex where she climbs to higher ground. She's alive, but alone and terrified. Survival instincts Daniel and a few survivors push through chest-deep water, carrying the baby in a makeshift basket. Elena and her attic group hammer through the roof to escape as water rises around them. Sophia scavenges for food in the ruined apartment, narrowly avoiding collapsing staircases. Each family member clings to hope, surviving minute by minute. Sacrifices made Mr. Harlan, refusing to leave his flooded home earlier, is now trapped. Daniel tries to rescue him, but Harlan insists Daniel save the baby instead, sacrificing himself. Elena risks her own safety to swim across a debris field, helping an injured neighbor to safety. These sacrifices weigh heavily, but also remind the survivors of their shared humanity. A city in ruins by dawn, Hurricane Gordy finally weakens and moves inland. The Morales family members, battered and scattered, begin searching for each other. Miami lies in ruins. Bridges collapsed, hospitals destroyed, entire blocks gone. Survivors gather in shelters, shell-shocked. News stations report Gordy as one of the strongest hurricanes in recorded history. Family reunion in an emotional climax. Daniel finally finds Sophia in the wreckage of the apartment complex. They embrace, crying in relief. Hours later, Elena's group is rescued by boat, and she reunites with her husband and daughter. Against all odds, the Morales family is alive. They mourn those lost, but cling to gratitude and love. Aftermath and rebuilding weeks later, FEMA tents cover the city and aid pours in from across the country. Survivors help each other rebuild homes and lives. Elena volunteers in makeshift clinics. Daniel helps with rescue crews, and Sophia shares her footage with meteorologists. Her recordings become vital in studying Hurricane Gordy's unprecedented growth. Closing reflection, the film ends with Sophia narrating her experience in a school presentation months later. She explains that Gordy wasn't just a storm of nature, but a storm of human resilience. The final shot shows Miami rebuilding slowly, cranes against the skyline. A faint weather alert chimes in the background, hinting that nature's fury will always return.